Today, we're diving into a fundamental shift in how we all think about work. We're going to look at our careers, our skills, and really what a job even is anymore.
I want you to really think about that for a second. Whether your title is product manager or software engineer or anything else, does that one little phrase actually capture the complex, ever-changing stuff you do all day, every day?
The honest truth is, for most of us, the answer is a big no. And that's because that rigid industrial-era box we call a job is basically breaking apart right in front of our eyes.
So let's unpack this transformation. We are moving away from static job titles and into this dynamic new world, where your individual skills, they're the real currency. They're part of what's being called a capability cloud.
Okay, so first up, the end of the job. Let's talk about why this old industrial-era model is failing. You know, the whole idea of a job was perfect for an assembly line, but in today's economy, it's just become a major roadblock. And this chart, wow, it reveals a huge disconnect. Look at this. On the left, you see that 90% of HR leaders know they need to move to a skills-based way of thinking. But then look at the right. A tiny 10% have actually done it. This is what we call the knowing-doing gap, and it's mostly held in place by old habits and just, a resistance to change.
But the incentive to close that gap is massive. I mean, we're not talking about a small boost here. Companies that make this pivot are literally twice as effective at putting the right people on the right tasks at the right time. That is a game-changing competitive advantage.
So, if the job is dead, what's replacing it? Well, that brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer, thinking of your skills as an API. This is the new language of labor.
Now, to get this, let's just quickly define a software API. All it is a standardized way for different programs to talk to each other. It lets one program ask another to do something without needing to know all the messy, complex details of how it gets done.
Now, apply that exact same idea to a person's skills. Your specific ability, let's say it's search engine optimization, is treated just like one of those callable functions. An organization doesn't have to hire a whole marketing manager. They can just call your specific SEO skill API for a project.
So how do companies actually do this? Well, it's a process called job decomposition. You can see it here. They start with a vague title, like front-end developer. Then they break that down into dozens of concrete, verifiable skills. And finally, they create a highly structured skill stack that an AI can actually read and understand.
And that skill stack has incredible depth. We're not just talking about keywords on a resume here. It's a 6-layer architecture. It goes from broad core skills at the top, down through applied skills, all the way to layer 3, those micro skills, the precise callable skill APIs we were just talking about. And, this is so crucial, it ends with layer 6, hard verifiable evidence, like actual code commits, that prove you can do what you say you can do.
So, with this new level of detail, it means the traditional resume is basically dead. It's a relic from a slower time that just can't keep up anymore. We're moving from static history to dynamic graphs.
And here's exactly why. Since just 2015, the skills needed for an average job have already changed by 25%. And that pace is only getting faster. It's expected to double by 2027. So a resume, which only looks backwards, is pretty much useless for figuring out if someone is ready for the future.
So this is the real shift. On one side, you have the old resume, a static, historical document that, let's be honest, is super easy to game with AI tools. On the other side, you have the skill graph. This is a living, AI-powered map of your abilities that can actually infer adjacent skills you probably have, even if you've never officially held a job with that title.
All right, so how does this all come together in the real world? Well, once you have skills broken down and mapped out, companies can build a whole new operating system for work. It's what people are calling a liquid workforce.
And the engine for all this is the internal talent marketplace, or ITM. Think of it like an internal gig economy. It's an AI platform that scans all the skills of every employee and automatically matches them to short-term projects. It unlocks a massive amount of hidden talent that's already inside a company.
This completely changes how we think about career growth. We're moving away from that restrictive old career ladder where you basically just wait for your boss to leave so you can move up. Now it's a career lattice where you can move in any direction, up, sideways, even diagonally, by acquiring new skills and becoming more versatile and adaptable.
But let's be real, this revolution isn't all smooth sailing. This radical deconstruction of work comes with some very real challenges, and frankly, a pretty significant human cost.
The single biggest barrier is something called talent hoarding.
Nearly half of all managers actively block their best people from moving to other projects inside the company. And you can't entirely blame them, right? Their performance is judged on their team's output, so letting their star player go feels like shooting themselves in the foot.
So the solution is to just change the rules of the game. Companies have to start rewarding managers for being talent exporters, leaders who are actually measured and celebrated for developing people and helping them move on to other high-impact projects.
And for us as individuals, the toll can be immense. For like a century, our job has been a core part of our identity. When that goes away, it can lead to chronic stress, a feeling of instability. The erosion of long-term jobs also breaks down that vital social fabric and community that stable workplaces used to give us.
So, given all these challenges, how do we navigate this new economy? What does the fully realized future actually look like?
Well, our entire social safety net, things like healthcare, unemployment insurance, it was all built back in the early 20th century, based on the idea of a stable, lifelong job. As that idea disappears, the whole system just falls apart. The only real way forward is a new social contract, with portable benefits that can follow you from gig to gig, project to project. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most critical question. This isn't just about corporate strategy or new tech. This is a fundamental question about our identity. In a world where your work is just a collection of callable skills, we all have to figure out, who are we really, beyond the title on a business card?